thank you all for being here. This is extremely important to our community. It's extremely important to our children, to our families. So I'm grateful that you all have chosen to spend the evening here. You could have been anywhere, but here we are. So thank you. So now what you're going to see is sort of the basics of this proposal. There is no way that we will have time to dive into everything that this covers. There's just no way. There's a lot. But we're going to show you everything, and we're going to give you resources so that you can get any other information that you want. You all are really the lifeblood of our community. But I wanted, so they were recognized just a moment ago, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. So city council members, if you'll stand up just one more time. I do this for a reason. You can if you want. I work for you. You do whatever you want to do. You don't even have to stand up. You know I can't tell you what to do. So, but and you know what? Now that I did that, former city council members that are in here right now, if you all would stand up for just a second, because I think you're going to be impressed by this room. That's what makes this community great, is all of these people like this. So this is a really comprehensive package, and a lot went into it. There was a lot of planning, there was a lot of consideration, a lot of discussion. This typically starts at the committee level, so we hear from the Street and Traffic Committee, from the Park Board, we hear from a lot of different groups. We get input from citizens, from committees. It all comes up, city staff then puts in their input, and ultimately this all lands with the city council, and in a public meeting, they discuss every single project, and I do mean every single project. And so it has been fantastic to watch the five of them work together on this. That's why I say this one was awesome. I mean, it really was. I've done this several times, but this one was about as satisfying as a process as we've ever had. This was unanimous. All five of these city council members supported this. They're all here tonight to show their support. So, you know, any thoughts that there's some dissension amongst the city council on this, it's just not true. This is truly a universal package that I think everybody is very happy with. I know that I am. So with that, let's talk about what we got. So first off, we want to make this as simple as possible, because the last thing we want to do is for anyone to leave here in any way, shape, or form confused. And so this slide you will see again. So don't worry if you don't get it all right now, but you will see it again. The reason being is because this is exactly how you're going to vote. So there's 5 propositions. 3 of those are going to deal with general obligation bond. 1 of them is going to deal with economic development sales tax, and 1 of them is going to deal with the capital improvement sales tax. So that's what will be on the ballot. We wanted to show you this. But we want to break it down a little bit into just chunks of information that you can absorb. So election date, first off, don't miss this, February 10th, 2026. These are not a tax increase. And so this is something that you'll hear us repeat because it is worth mentioning. These are all programs that have existed, some of them for decades, and they've been incredibly successful. So they've built our community, they have built our economy, and they have built our tourism industry. So these are really important to all of us, and they're really important, again, to all of our children and families coming. So not a tax increase, they are a renewal, and then this vote will extend all of these taxes to 2031. So they will all become on the same cycle. So that's really what we're talking about. Now, a little bit more specifics, we're just gonna dip our toe in and then we'll dive in a minute. So general obligation bonds, these are repaid by property taxes. Again, this is not a tax increase, none of these are. All of the projects are listed, so anything that we plan to do with this money we're about to show you. And then you will have a resource to get a lot more information on later. And this is only for capital projects, so there's no wages, there's none of that included in this. This is just for capital projects, so this is building things in our community. Capital improvement sales tax, that is a separate proposition. And again, this one is a 0.5% sales tax, and it is not a tax increase. And just like with the GO bonds, we're going to list all the projects. So you'll be able to see everything that we're doing. And again, also like the GO bonds, this is capital projects only. So no sales tax, or no wages, no operating, no maintenance. This is just for capital improvements. And then the final one that we're going to talk about will actually be Proposition 3. So this is a 1/4 cent economic development sales tax. And this is the sales tax that has been around for a very long time. This is what formed the Bartlesville Development Authority, which has been very successful in our community. And you'll hear more about that later from Chris. But so those are the things that we're talking about. Now, kind of to dive in specifically, what we're going to do first is to talk about capital projects. So we got GO bonds, we've got capital improvement sales tax. So we wanted to start with those. So we'll lump all those together, and one more time, just to make sure everybody understands, those are propositions 1, 2, 3, and 5. So we'll talk about proposition 4 here in a minute, and that will be the economic development sales tax. So that's those projects. Here is the total. And so this is the total for all 3 GO bond propositions and the capital improvement sales tax. So we're talking about $35 million worth of improvement in our community. So this is significant. You'll see what we've spent in the last 20 years here in a minute, and you'll understand why this is so significant, because this is a lot of funding for our community. So this is the things that it will be broken up in. These are the categories essentially that we report out to you. So streets, bridges, and drainage are our largest infrastructure network, and therefore they are receiving the lion's share of the funds. No surprise there. So that'll be over 50% of the funds, and then you'll get down into some other things: parks and recreation, public safety equipment, and then the final one will be municipal buildings and equipment. I won't spend much time on that now because I'll show you all of it here in just a minute. But before we do that, let's talk about what has been done in the past. So looking back, this is just a real quick snapshot. These are all the projects that we've done. So one of the things that you'll notice is, first off, geography doesn't matter in Bartlesville. The money gets spent across our community. So that is, you are seeing roads, you're seeing trails, you're seeing parks, facilities, equipment. Those are all of the things that we have done with these taxes for a long period of time. But when you start looking at the total amount since 1999, it's a little over 100 million. Well, we're talking about 35 million right now. So that's why this is such a significant investment, is that it is a tremendous opportunity for us and for our community. So let's talk about the biggest one: streets, bridges, and drainage. And so this is a little hard to get your hands wrapped around, because if I gave you a description of every street and every block, we'd be here all night. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to show you a map. And this is the easiest way to see what streets are included. Now, I'll give you a list here in a second, but this will be the easiest way. So before we get into in-depth on that, the thing that we want everybody to know is how the streets are chosen. So why a certain street is chosen versus another. Well, the first thing is that there are statistics that go into this. So we contract with a company, and they generate what's called pavement condition index. So they go out and grade every road in Bartlesville, every block, block by block by block. That goes in, and that goes for consideration to the Street and Traffic Committee. So this is a citizen-driven traffic committee, and they actually make the decisions of what roads are going to be recommended to council, and ultimately what roads are going to be recommended to you all. So that is where these begin. Now, their methodology is based on that pavement conditioning index, but it's not necessarily worst road goes first. It is what road will give the greatest benefit to the community. So we're looking for the biggest bang for the buck. So you'll find that roads that are more heavily traveled will show up on here before a road that may be in worse condition but might only have 10 cars a day on it. So those are the things that go into it. This map does not show preventive maintenance streets, because those are chosen every year. That's a lot more fluid. But these are the ones that are significant renovations. So here is a look at the north side of Bartlesville, because I know that first map was a little bit hard to see. Everybody look real quick, see if your road's on there. If it's not, we'll talk later. And then this is the south half of that map. So these are all the streets. And again, it's worth noting that this is geographically, we don't care. That's not what's important. What we want to do is we want to spend this money where it needs to be spent. So that's what you're seeing here. So that's the streets. Now, I promised you I would show you all the projects. I will. And again, you won't have time to read and look through all of these, but these are the dollar amounts associated with each of these streets. And that's page 1, and there's page 2. So there is a lot of money going into streets. There are a lot of street projects. And again, we understand that is the greatest need from municipality, because it is our largest infrastructure network. So that's streets, bridges, and drainage. And then let's talk parks and recreation here. So parks and recreation is actually one of the smaller components, but it has some pretty significant items on it. When we talk about parks and recreation, we just wanted you to understand a little bit better about what that represents. So this is all of the parks in Bartlesville, the big ones, the small ones. It's also our recreation facilities. So when we start talking about soccer fields, baseball fields, all of those things except for what the school does. So we don't have that. We do, one of our newest additions, of course, is pickleball. We also have world-class trails. So in the Pathfinder, this is an absolute gem in Bartlesville. If you've lived anywhere other than here, I promise you they didn't have anything even close. And so this is, you will see that it's continued investment in things like this. You're not going to find a lot new in here. What you're going to find is continued investment in what makes us great already. So going into Parks and Recreation, again, there's a lot on here. I'm not going to take time to revisit each of these, but I wanted you to be able to see the list so that you can see the dollar amounts that we're talking about. And we do have both funding sources. So if you're wondering why there's two columns, the one on the left is general obligation bond, the one on the right sales tax. So it's just easier to show you all in this manner than to try to pick it apart by proposition. So public safety. Public safety is one of the primary obligations of a municipality. This is incredibly important, and we have really great public safety in Bartlesville. This ensures that they have the equipment that they need to do their jobs. So again, you won't find anything too exciting in here unless you happen to be a firefighter or a police officer. But what you do find is all of the things that they need to do their jobs. So when we talk about the biggest expenditures, it's really in equipment. So we've got a firefighting apparatus, and then we have police cars and the equipment for those police cars. So those are our two top expenditures. And outside of personnel, those are generally our largest expenditures for those departments. So that's what we're talking about with them. Municipal buildings and equipment. This is the one that probably people don't understand as well because it is pretty broad. But so rather than trying to tell you what it is, we'll show you, and then we will show you exactly what it is. So this is what we're going to spend those funds on. And so this is the total amount of all of those funds. You'll notice that, again, there's really nothing new in here. Most of this is reinvesting in what we have, what has already made Bartlesville great. And so we have a storm siren upgrade, which would be very important. And one other one that I do want to pull out, and this is what I started to say earlier, because we're standing here, the community center. And so there are some significant upgrades for the community center. In particular, we're talking about the actual stage lighting for this space right here. And it is the age of the community center. Anybody know when this building was built? 83. And the lights were installed in 1983, and I suspect they've done nothing but change the bulbs. So we still have that level of technology. Shows today demand a lot more than that. So we're proud to say that will be a big part of this. That will be a huge investment in this facility, and it will allow it to continue to operate in the manner in which it's doing. So we're excited about that. And again, the city employees who are here are very excited about some of this other stuff, but you all may not be. But this is the stuff that we need to do our jobs. So really, when you see municipal buildings and equipment, what we're talking about is buildings like this and equipment that we need to do our jobs. So it's just some pretty basic stuff. So break this down one more time by category. So you can see this is where we started at, $35 million in projects. This is how they break out by category. And then one last time by proposition, so that, again, we want to make sure, because this can be a little bit confusing, there are 3 propositions for the general obligation bonds. That's proposition 1, 2, and 3, and then proposition 5 will be a capital improvement sales tax. So that will be 4 of the 5 propositions, with the final one actually being economic development. And with that, if you all will welcome my friend, Chris Batchelder, to the stage so that he can talk about that.
I always want to start by thanking the taxpayers of this community because since 1986, you guys have approved this economic development sales tax every 5 years. It's a quarter cent, nothing's going up, and it allows us to do what we do in this community at the BDA to keep Bartlesville thriving. That tax has always been extremely well supported. And we hope that will be the case again. But I always want to start by saying thank you because without that renewal every 5 years, we couldn't do what we do at the BDA by trying to bring new people to our community. I also always want to thank David Wood and Jared Patton and Laura Clark. We have a small office, but we are mighty. And those guys are awesome. And it is really, really great to get to go to work every day with that team. So, as I pointed out, this is a quarter-cent sales tax that has been in place since 1986. It comes up for renewal every 5 years, and it really does. It does two things. It funds the BDA budget every year, and it funds the Economic Development Fund, of which we use to provide incentives and projects around Bartlesville that help us recruit primary industry jobs and retail to our community that help keep Bartlesville growing and vibrant. And again, we point out on here that we're continuing to try to diversify as a community. I'm going to talk about a little bit of that in a second, but the more companies that we can bring in that are bringing large numbers of jobs to our community, the better. It helps us continue to grow, and it helps us achieve our true north, which is to continue to grow the sales tax and tax base for the community of Bartlesville, which makes the entire community better. So there you go. That's the short version. We wanted to point out these last 5 years, so since 2021, when we last did this, we have actually had a really extraordinary run. It has been an awesome time to be doing what we're doing. Bartlesville has really had a target on it, which has been great for our community. We've had some great success stories. Blue Whale Materials out at the industrial park is a lithium-ion battery recycling company that has announced and we're using kind of conservative estimates, but we're using our initial council approval, which was 100 jobs for Blue Whale Materials. I also should stop right here and be sure to thank our 5 city council members that are not only here tonight, but have been overwhelmingly supportive of the BDA. This council has been really great to work with, and they get the vision. They're on board. They ask the right questions. They're involved in what we're doing all the time. It has been really great. So thank you guys for your support and what you're doing to make our community better. It's yeoman's work. But Blue Whale has been an amazing community partner. They've already jumped in feet first, getting involved in sponsorships and all kinds of stuff. And the work that they're doing out there is really pretty amazing. As they continue to get their operation fully up and running, I can't wait for you guys to see it. Lincoln Electric Products is in the old Siemens building out by the airport out west. They also are really ramping up. In fact, they're getting ready to have a hiring event starting tomorrow and on Friday. And they're looking to hire 85 people right now. If you know someone that is a licensed, quick pitch, if you know someone that is a licensed electrician, wiring specialist, anything like that, they need people right away. And they are hiring by the droves. And so that is a great company. They're out of Union City, New Jersey, and have set up an expansion here that is growing like crazy. And so we are thrilled with our partnership with Lincoln Electric Products. Again, that was 100 jobs, but I think they're going to fly right past that. ABB, you talk about a great corporate citizen. You guys are all aware of ABB and their move to Bartlesville. We have helped them expand now twice, and I don't think that'll be the last time. Every one of these has just gone so well, and they do it quickly, they do it efficiently, and the number of jobs that they have out there is awesome. They have just been incredible for Bartlesville, and we love having them here. And then this is kind of a little bit under the radar, but MGM Casey Welding, Metal Goods Manufacturing, is kind of just east of the county jail on the west side of Bartlesville, across the railroad tracks. This has been a Bartlesville company since its inception. They're on their 3rd generation of local ownership. It's a great machine shop. They're doubling the size of their facility and their workforce. It's been awesome to see and partner with. And then Phillips Precision Machine is kind of our textbook economic development case study. That was the machine shop that spun out of the old Siemens facility, owned by Mark Phillips. They're out at the industrial park, and they have just been an amazing local success story, and they continue to grow. So we're extremely proud of these primary industry successes over the last 5 years. And if you total up those jobs, you real quickly realize what an impact that has on our community. And again, we always want to talk about the resident recruitment program. So this came on board shortly after COVID, where we were trying to get people to live where their jobs are. we can add all the jobs we want, but unless they live in Bartlesville, spend money here, we're really not completing the journey. And so we started the incentive program to provide $10,000 for people to buy a home within the Bartlesville city limits, $20,000 to construct a home within the Bartlesville city limits, and then $10,000 to buy or construct outside the city limits, but within the Bartlesville School District. And this program has been incredibly successful with over 100 people taking advantage of it since it went into place. And again, that's 100 new people, new jobs that have chosen to reside in our community. That doesn't include their family members and everything that comes along with that. So we love the resident recruitment program. And then we are always building for the future. We're out of real estate, and so we're in the process of building a spec building out at the industrial park that's going to continue to help us to grow. We've got all kinds of projects going all over the place. We have just really had an extremely successful season. And then, the obvious things that everybody sees every day are the retail recruitment successes. I'm not going to go through all of these because you guys see them all the time as you drive around town. You probably go to a lot of these. These, it's kind of a circle of life, chicken or egg. Whether these have all come on board because of the new jobs, or if the new jobs come because the community is so robust because of the new retail, it doesn't really matter. A rising tide lifts all boats, and so we have been very proud to see our community continue to grow and thrive in all facets. And then real quickly, I told Maria that I would cover these, but she always says it, and it is absolutely true. None of this would happen, and our jobs would be really difficult if it didn't all start with a visit. And they come and they look at our community, and what Maria and her team have been able to put in place in Bartlesville by being able to make Bartlesville an attractive place to visit. I know several people that really literally started with a visit. They came to look at Bartlesville, they absolutely fell in love with it, and they decided they wanted to live here. And so there are some metrics here that you can see that Maria has put together. It really is an amazing story. You think about, it's not just the movies, that have come to spend time in our community. Every single day, people are coming to our community, they're spending money, they're finding out what we're all about here, and they're choosing to stay, tell their friends about it, spend money here, all of the things that come along. So the $175 to $187 per household per year, if you think about the impact of that on our community, that is an extremely significant number. And I love, one of the great things about Maria's job is the metrics that she's able to put to the results that she's driving. So the other one, the 21 to 24% going directly back into the economy. That's a really big deal. And again, these are really staggering numbers once you start to put pencil to paper. But you guys know this already. We absolutely have an amazing asset with Maria, and she is the right person at the right time in the right job, and she is driving new residents to our community. So Maria, thank you for everything that you do.